All right, so today we're going to kind of shift gears a little bit and try something new and take a deep dive into a psychological thriller
Ooh,
called
fun.
The Doll's House. But before you go running off to grab a copy or add it to your to-read list or whatever, we're going to do a little preview
Yes.
and kind of tease out what makes this book so intriguing and so gripping without, of course, giving away any of the spoilers or the twists or anything like that. So think of this as a little taste test to see if The Doll's House is for you.
Exactly. We're going to sort of unravel the threads of the story, the characters, just enough to pique your interest. The Doll's House, it really delves into the cracks of seemingly perfect lives, kind of exploring themes of obsession and identity and the things that we keep hidden beneath the surface.
Ooh, I love a good things are not what they seem story.
Yes.
So let's get into it. Where does this unsettling journey begin?
Well, the story centers around Naomi. She is a woman who's finally achieved that dream that I think many of us share. She's moved into this beautiful new home with her family. That fresh start, a chance for that picture perfect life.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Who hasn't fantasized about finding that ideal home? But I'm getting the sense that things are not going to stay idyllic for very long.
No, they don't. And this is where Summer enters the picture.
Okay.
Summer is the new owner of Naomi's old flat. And on the surface, she seems charming and friendly, but there's something about Summer that's just a little off.
Off you say, give me a little taste of what makes her so unsettling.
Well, for starters, she pops up unannounced at Naomi's new house.
Hmm.
A little boundary pushing, wouldn't you say? And it's not just these unexpected visits. She asks oddly personal questions, delving a bit too deep into Naomi's life. It's like she's not just being neighborly, she's almost studying her.
Okay, yeah, that definitely sets off some alarm bells in my mind. So how does Naomi react to this intense interest from Summer?
Well, at first she tries to brush it off. Moving is stressful. Maybe she's just a little on edge. But then things start to get truly strange things go missing. She gets this feeling like she's being watched, and Summer's constant presence starts to feel less like friendly interest and more like predatory almost.
Well, hold on. So we're shifting gears from slightly odd neighbor to something a little more sinister?
Exactly. And the author does this so cleverly using these early interactions to build suspense. You start to question, is Summer intentionally messing with Naomi, or is Naomi just letting her anxiety run wild? It's like walking a tightrope between reality and paranoia.
Ooh, I love that push and pull. It really keeps you guessing and invested in figuring out what's really going on.
Hmm.
So is there anything else that adds to this unsettling atmosphere?
Oh, there's one more element that really adds to the mystery: a doll's house.
A doll's house. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, there are actually two dolls' houses, one in each of their homes, and it's a recurring motif that starts to feel symbolic, like it represents more than just a child's toy. You could even say it's like a miniature reflection of the lives that these women lead, with all the hidden complexities and secrets tucked away inside.
That's fascinating. It's like the author is giving us this visual clue, this hint that things aren't as picture perfect as they might appear on the surface. So with these strange occurrences and a creepy doll's house thrown into the mix, how does the tension escalate from here?
Well, one of the most unsettling aspects is how Summer starts to infiltrate Naomi's life. It's not just these odd encounters. Naomi begins to feel like she's losing control, like her world is slowly being taken over.
Taken over how so?
Well, let's just say Summer has a way of charming her way into people's lives, including Naomi's friends. And as they spend more time with Summer, Naomi starts to feel increasingly isolated.
Okay, now that's just plain creepy. It's like something out of a psychological thriller movie. Yeah. So is Summer intentionally isolating Naomi, or is this just a byproduct of their, shall we say, complicated dynamic?
That's the beauty of it. The author keeps you guessing. You're constantly trying to figure out Summer's motives to decipher whether she's a master manipulator or just a very peculiar person.
So at this point, we've got strange occurrences, a mysterious doll's house, and Naomi's life slowly unraveling.
Hmm.
I have to ask, does it get even darker from here?
Oh, it definitely does, and that's where we'll pick up next time.
Okay, so last time we left off with Naomi feeling increasingly isolated,
Mm-hmm.
as Summer inserts herself into her life, it's all getting a bit single white female, isn't it?
Right.
Where does this unsettling journey take us next?
Well, things take a turn when Naomi starts noticing some very specific parallels between her life and Summer's.
Okay.
It's subtle at first, like similar taste in clothes or home decor, but then it escalates into something much more unsettling.
Oh, like what? Give me some examples. I'm all ears.
For instance, Naomi gets a new haircut, and suddenly Summer shows up sporting the exact same style.
Mm.
And it doesn't stop there. Summer even buys a dress identical to one that Naomi owns. It's almost like she's deliberately mimicking Naomi's choices.
Okay, that's straight up creepy.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a similar taste, But this feels intentional, almost like a power play. What's the author trying to achieve with this mirroring effect?
It's brilliant, really, by having Summer copy Naomi. The author blurs the lines between their identities. It
Yeah.
makes you question, is Summer trying to absorb Naomi's life to somehow replace her? And it plays on those primal fears we all have about losing our sense of self.
And I imagine this mirroring only fuels Naomi's suspicions about Summer's intentions, right?
Absolutely. Naomi is already on edge, and these incidents confirm her gut feeling that something isn't right. But here's the thing, the author is so clever that even as a reader, you start to question Naomi's perception.
Hmm.
Is she overreacting? Is this all in her head?
Ooh, that psychological tension is what makes a thriller so good. You're never quite sure who to trust, including the main character.
Right.
So as the story unfolds, does Summer's behavior become even more intrusive?
Oh, yes, it escalates quite a bit. One incident that really stood out to me involved Naomi's cat, Sparkle. Naomi becomes convinced that Sparkle is trapped in Summer's flat. She can hear him meowing, but Summer denies it completely.
Wait, hold on. Is Summer gaslighting Naomi, or is there something more going on?
That's the million-dollar question.
Mhm.
It's a small detail in the grand scheme of things, but it adds to this growing sense of unease. You start to wonder, is Summer capable of harming Sparkle? And if so, what else is she capable of?
Okay, that just sent chills down my spine. And I bet this incident with the cat really solidifies Naomi's distrust of Summer. But what about her friends? Are they picking up on these red flags too?
Well, that's where things get even more complicated. Naomi tries to confide in her friends to warn them about Summer's strange behavior,
Yeah.
but instead of supporting her, they seem to be falling under Summer's spell. They dismiss Naomi's concerns, accuse her of being paranoid, and their relationships start to fracture.
That's heartbreaking. Not only is she dealing with this increasingly unsettling situation with Summer, but now she's losing her support system too. How does she cope with this isolation?
It's a testament to the author's skill that you really feel Naomi's sense of desperation and loneliness.
Yeah.
She's being gaslighted, her friendships are crumbling, and no one seems to believe her. It's a nightmare scenario playing out.
It really makes you think about how easily someone can be manipulated and isolated, especially when the manipulator is so skilled at presenting this charming facade. So as Naomi's world shrinks, does a conflict with Summer come to a head?
Oh, it definitely does. And the stakes become even higher when their children get involved.
Hmm.
Naomi's daughter, Freya, starts experiencing bullying at school, and it soon becomes apparent that Summer's daughter, Luna, is the ringleader.
Oh, no, that's awful. It takes the conflict to a whole new level of disturbing. It's one thing for adults to be at odds, but using children as pawns is just cruel.
Exactly. It adds this layer of moral complexity and makes you question how much Summer is willing to manipulate and control those around her, even children, to achieve her goals.
I have to know, how does Naomi react to this? Does she confront Summer about her daughter's behavior?
Well, that's where things start to spiral even further out of control. Naomi does try to address it with Summer, but it only leads to more tension and suspicion. The atmosphere becomes incredibly charged, like a powder keg waiting to explode, and then...
And then don't leave me hanging.
Well, that's where we'll have to leave it for now. You'll have to dive into the doll's house yourself to see what happens next.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the mark of a good thriller. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, wanting more so. Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, is there anything else you want to tease about what's to come? Any lingering questions we should be pondering?
Well, let's just say that the final act of the book reveals some shocking truths about Summer and her connection to Naomi's past. It's a twist that will make you question everything you thought you knew about these characters and their motivations.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. A connection to Naomi's past that changes everything. I can't wait to unpack that in the final part of our deep dive, listeners. You don't want to miss this. Okay, we're back, and oh my gosh, I am still reeling from that last revelation, a shared past between Summer and Naomi. Talk about a game changer. I need all the details, spill the tea.
Well, the author doesn't just come right out and say it. It's more like peeling back layers of an onion, slowly uncovering the truth bit by bit. And what Naomi discovers is deeply disturbing. It turns out Summer has been harboring this grudge against her for years, stemming from an incident that happened back in their childhood.
A childhood grudge.
Yeah.
Wow, that's some serious long-game revenge plotting. But how does that explain all the strange occurrences? The mirroring, the manipulation, it seems a bit extreme even for a childhood grudge.
Right. It's not just about revenge, though. It's about control, about Summer's need to dominate Naomi's life. The author does a brilliant job of exploring the psychology of obsession and how it can really twist someone's perception of reality. Summer believes she's been wronged, and in her mind, she's entitled to take what she believes is rightfully hers, Naomi's life.
That's terrifying. It makes you wonder, How well do we really know the people around us? Could someone we think we know be harboring these dark, twisted thoughts?
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The doll's house really forces us to confront that uncomfortable truth. It reminds us that appearances can be deceiving, and even the most seemingly ordinary people can have a dark side.
So, with this revelation about their shared past, does the tension between Naomi and Summer finally come to a head?
Oh, absolutely. The climax of the story is this tense standoff between the two women. It all comes to a head during a school camping trip where they're both chaperoning.
A camping trip. Talk about a pressure cooker environment. I can only imagine how intense that must be.
It's a masterfully crafted scene, the isolation of the woods, the simmering tension between them, the children caught in the middle. It's all incredibly suspenseful. And it's during this confrontation that the truth comes pouring out, secrets are revealed, accusations are hurled, and the stakes are higher than ever.
So, without giving away the ending, can you tell us, does justice prevail? Does Naomi manage to break free from Summer's web of manipulation?
Well, I don't want to spoil the ending for our listeners, but let's just say that the resolution is both satisfying and unsettling. The truth comes to light, but not without a cost.
Hmm.
And it leaves you pondering the nature of revenge, forgiveness, and the lasting consequences of our actions.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity even more. I need to get my hands on this book. But before we wrap up our deep dive, is there anything else you'd like to highlight about The Doll's House?
Yeah, I think what makes this book so compelling is its exploration of female relationships. It's not just about the conflict between Naomi and Summer, but also about the complexities of female friendships, the support systems we build, and the betrayals we sometimes face.
That's a great point. It reminds us that even the strongest bonds can be tested, and sometimes the people we trust the most can let us down. So for our listeners who are intrigued by this psychological thriller, what key takeaways would you leave them with?
I'd say The Doll's House is a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsession, the importance of trusting our instincts, and the strength it takes to reclaim our lives when they've been hijacked by someone else's agenda. It's a book that will stay with you long after you've finished the last page, leaving you questioning the motives of those around you and the masks people wear to hide their true selves.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up our deep dive into The Doll's House, listeners. If you're looking for a gripping thriller that will keep you guessing until the very end, this one's definitely worth checking out. And be sure to let us know what you think.
Happy reading!